Hello and welcome to AOK Games. First and foremost, if you've seen my community section or you are new here, I'd like to state thank you for being here. Last week, at least at the time of this video, I had some family emergencies and it was very important for me and my family to handle those. But now that things are slowing down, I don't want AOK Games to get too distracted from breaking away from content. So here we are. What are we looking at? Well, you've seen in the title, this is the Toliss a340 600 with the center post landing gear on the mains. Clearly a highly capable aircraft, and we're being rented out today, right? This livery is by a producer, I guess, who published this name Rabso. It's a Sky Prime aircraft with the identifier of HZ Sky. So it's a charter service aircraft, kind of private in nature. I do believe maybe this may be, I don't know if the 340 is actually in their fleet, but if Sky Prime is a real thing, it's a lovely rendition, very basic. However, it's sharp, crisp, and clear, so I will put that individual's information. If you do have this plane in X-Plane 12 and you'd like to fly this particular paint set, I'll put it in the description. But there's also another cool feature I've added. This is my second time on this channel with the Toliss 340. And I've also purchased and added the BSS sound pack. Now, there's nothing wrong, per se, with the standard Toliss sound set. However, this BSS sound set is quite remarkable, and I'm really excited for you to hear that because it makes a world of difference. Audio is such an important component of these aircraft simulations, and I think that you'll appreciate it because I know that I do. So, while I stop making you nauseous with swinging around the camera there, where are we going, right? Like, that's the big deal. So, I'll tell you, we're starting down here in Wellington, New Zealand, right? November Zulu Alpha Alpha. We're going to be flying the Saddle 3Q departure, which is almost a straight out, not that big of a deal. But for our sim brief integration and our Navigraph charts here, what's more interesting is that we are going to be coming in on the Aruba approach, right? That'll be the 4K variant. So if we go to the star, I'll just show you that real quick. Right through Aruba into Carno. But once we get to Carno, I'd like to swap over to the approach and show you the ILSZ. So if I zoom in here, what we're essentially doing is flying through the Ovini waypoint and maintaining a right-hand holding pattern. Now we're probably going to reach Ovini right around 9,000 feet, give or take, but there's some speed constraints here, and we're also dealing with altitudes, right? I want to be there between 9,000 and 6,000. So we will be performing that right-hand hold pattern, and we'll be descending in that hold pattern to between 5 and 3,000 feet. Ideally 3,000, because if we come down here, you can see on our approach plate, right? Basically, I want to be at 3,000 past Ovini for the straight into 4 so that we can intercept the vertical and lateral localizer for ILSZ. So that's 041 degrees, and we'll just have to program in the nav radios on the FMS. However, suffice it to say, essentially I'll save you all that because this is just, coming back to the channel and posting some fun content for viewership out there. Thank you for your continued support. As always, let's hop on board. I won't bore you with the boring stuff. Once I get the aircraft powered up, at least to the point where you can hear these sounds, we'll get rid of all these, makeshift jetways and everything. I'll turn it on and let you hear all of the sounds because there are hundreds of sounds here that are all custom made for just this aircraft. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check them sounds out. Okay, welcome on board the Toliss a340. Just like that, we are in the piloting command, and what I'd like to do is start this bird up, or at least begin to, so that you can hear some basic sounds of this BSS kit. And as the fans come alive, let's go ahead and bring our APU on. Again, this will just be a short run-up. I won't, lecture the video when we're going through the FMS programming, or rather, I'm going through the FMS programming. But just to make sure you all get to hear the sounds, it's important that, at least the beginning phases of this get covered. And of course, APU coming alive. Nice heat plume there. And our avionics are coming alive. APU is also coming alive. 70%. And once that's good to go, we're almost there, I'll throw on the generator and then we'll bring the packs online. Okay, those are all on, and we are generating power. So the APU generator is on, no faults noted, and it's not off, so it is on. We'll go ahead and, at this time, align everything with the quick align, and then I will come down here, program in, make sure our nav data and everything is okay. If I had said Rolls-Royce before, we do have the Trent engines. That's just, I don't believe that I mentioned that, but we do have the Trent 556s on here, 4 of them, right? So I'm also using my Airbus. It's one of my reasons for flying this is my favorite, because I have the 1 through 4 throttles, and each one of these are essentially, individually adjustable, which is quite fun. Right? Quite fun to manipulate that. So, the things that amuse me are just very basic. But I'll program the FMS in nonetheless. We'll get this show on the road. Once we're ready to taxi, I'll go ahead and bring us back and show you the active FMS with the departure and the arrival. So that's good to go. See you in just a brief second. Okay, so right before we're about to start up here, we've got everything programmed in here. Our departure, our saddle 3Q, and our arrival. Aruba 4K with the Ovini hold right is indeed in there. No discontinuities. Everything's good with that. APU's running at 100%. We've got a couple systems we need to do. We need to activate before we turn everything on. So let's go ahead and turn our strobes auto and our beacon to on. We'll make sure that we have our emergency lights armed. We'll go ahead and throw our seat belts and smoking signs to alert, and we'll turn on our APU there for the bleed air. I'm going to leave the weather systems off, the radar weather systems off, because we don't want to irradiate anybody with our forward firing radar there. We know that we need to go to flaps 3, so we'll just leave that there for the time being. Door is locked, and let's just make sure we throw our TCAS and transponder in the appropriate modes, transmit and receive. We've got everything here in auto. Don't need floodlights, I just want the integral ones. Okay, that's great, auto. We'll turn the radar on. You can see outside already. Oh, you've seen, it doesn't look that bad. Okay, so that's good. We've got that all set up. We'll throw the taxi lights on, and let's go ahead and start these engines up so that you can hear these sounds. Everything's good, and fuel pumps for 4. Down here, let's swap over to ignition start. Let's go ahead and pull up on engine 4, and we'll also start our chrono here so that we can mark our time. And we've got a spooling engine. Once we get the light off, we'll go back inside and we will definitely make sure that everything's working. You may have noticed there, see our rudder came back into alignment now that we have hydraulic pressure. None of our flight control surfaces are drooping or anything anymore, which is good. Once 4 is lit off, it will tell us that it's available, and we'll be good with that. And also worth note, the takeoff is good, already computed, weight and balance is good. 1019 already on the QNH, available. Let's go ahead and start off number 3. And we can come on and turn our fuel pumps. I'll worry about the transfers after everything's running. That way we'll be good to go. Because we're obviously not transferring anything. And that's beginning to light off as well. I've also gone ahead and set all of our lateral and vertical speed to managed by the MCDU/FMS, what have you. And we have to make sure that we throw our auto throttle on. Of course, that's not lighting up yet, but it will. And everything will be good. No worries with the orange light off there. Once we get everything running, we'll clear all of that, and we'll also do a takeoff check. But now that we have hydraulic power, let's go ahead and bring ourselves to flaps 3, and we'll arm our spoiler there, speed brake, and let's go ahead and activate engine 2. That's all good. Just clear master cautions there. We know that we need to also adjust our trims. We need flaps 3, and we need to be up 2.9. So flight control, pitch trim up 2.9. We've got our fuel verified. Everything's good there. Okay, and once these engines are running, all 4, we'll go ahead and do a takeoff check with the button there. And just one more to light off. We'll select that. Day's still looking pretty good out there. We've computed plenty of space with a rotation speed of 167. Good to go. Number 2 is available. Let's throw on actually the fuel pumps for that engine that's theoretically running. And I'll just come down here and I'll look at the fuel again real quick. Okay, so we have no fuel in the center tanks. We'll leave the center transfers off because, you know, no reason to run a fuel pump if there's no fuel. Definitely don't need those pumps cavitating with air. So we'll leave it as is. Once these are done, like I said, we will do that takeoff check. And there's the air conditioning. We'll rotate back to normal for the engine start mode. And let's hop on down here and click takeoff check. Okay, everything's there and it's happy. We'll have to make sure that we have everything disconnected electrically, externally, so on and so forth. We do not need the APU bleeds. We will let that cool down because it needs to be turned off, and everything there is good to go. Okay, so I'll finish up the prep here. We'll head out to 5, which is just over there, and we'll bring it back after, well, just before the threshold. See you in a second. Okay, approaching 5 here at Wellington. You'll notice I turned the taxi camera on, which is a really neat feature in X-Plane 12. I've gone ahead and done my before takeoff checklist, verified the APU is off. We need to check our flight control surfaces. Okay, everything's good. Takeoff configuration is in the green. Everything's okay. RTO has been selected for rejected takeoff. And let's go ahead and get on out of here. We'll turn the warning systems, make sure they are on. We'll turn the radar systems on. Everything's auto. We'll go over to 1, and I'll turn the taxi cab view off there. Taxi cab, right? We'll turn the taxi view off from the vertical stabilizer, and we'll go back to our PFD. Clear right. And clear left. Packs are on. Flight control surfaces are working and correct. Let's go ahead and turn our ET timer on for our clock setting. And let's pull up these trends. I'm going to try not to speak for this because really cool. So lights to take off. Let everybody know we're getting out of Dodge. Landing lights on. Transition altitude 13,000 here at Wellington. Let's power up. Rotate. Make sure we don't over rotate. We have a very long aircraft. The 600 is a long bird. And let's go to gear up with that positive rate. Let's get a little bit centered on track here. Let's throw on our autopilot, and we are managed here. Just make sure everything's activated, and we'll come back to climb power, green with the box, managed. That way we're not in manual thrust mode anymore. We'll turn our nose camera, or rather our nose lights off. We'll leave our landing lights on till 13,000. Everything here looks good. We're following the green line there out to MRAG, so to speak, right on the bottom of the red there. So we're flying as quickly as possible within our flight envelope. That's 2,600 feet a minute to 8,700. Let's go ahead and look down here. Flight plan, MRAG 8150. We'll adjust that briefly. Approximately here, 8,200. Managed. And let's bring some flaps up here. Okay, heading towards 250 knots. Let's bring that last notch of flaps up, and let's get our spoilers situated there. Flying through the cloud base. We are in thrust climb mode. We are in navigation mode, right? So, automated flight here. We are headed up to 37,000 feet today is our cruise level for our 2,200 plus nautical mile flight over to our DLC airport in Tahiti. Yes, this is the Tahitian region, these airports. I'll throw all of the DLC, this aircraft, you know, all of the sound packs, the livery by Rabso, the Sky Prime, all that. I'll throw it in the description. So once we get to 13,000, I'll go ahead, hit standard on the barometer, and then we'll be good. And let's bring us back when we're at 37,000 feet. I'd like to skip most of the boring stuff because I'm boring enough as it is. But we're here in the Toliss a340 on our way. See you in a second. Okay, so welcome to 37,000 feet. You may notice here on our screen we have a tail tank transfer in progress, and you see on the below page there, we are in fact transferring fuel from our wings to our tail tank. Now, on the 340, when you activate the pumps here, what essentially this does is moves fuel towards the rear of the airplane intentionally, because essentially, to my understanding, what it does is reduces the drag force required to counteract the aircraft's weight and lift couples. So it's for CG, it's for center of gravity, so it trims it automatically, which is really, really cool because it makes the plane fly more fuel efficient. So there's not very many aircraft that I personally know of that have a transfer service of fuel that goes from the wings all the way to the back of the aircraft into the tank in the rear. So really, really neat that that is a automated feature on this aircraft. So if you see the transfer, that is indeed what's happening here at 37,000 feet in cruise. Okay, welcome back to the descent phase here. Just a brief update. So we are decelerating and we have 148 nautical miles to go. So we'll start that star soon and we'll transition into that right hold pattern. I'll go out, I'll get some of the updated data for the landing phase here. Meaning the QNH, the temperature, the magnetic wind direction, and speed. We've already got our transient altitude in there, and then I'll program in the ILS Z things right in the NavRad here. That way, we're ready for our arrival. It's already in here, so all I have to do, meaning in the flight plan, so all I have to do is look it up on the approach plate and type it in, and we should be good. Weather's looking clear, so it'll probably be a VFR approach, but nonetheless we'll program for the worst, and yeah, we'll see it closer to the right hand turning hold pattern. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. We now have the seat belts and no smoking signs on. Let's go ahead and just turn off some of the transfers there. And you can see in our ILS-4Z approach here, we have that right hand hold while we're descending. So it's essentially going to at least go around once. Now this is for a sequencing. I believe if you are coming into Tahiti on approach through the star and the actual approach phase, you would make this right hand corner until ATC gave you clearance to actually start your final approach there so that you can intercept the lateral and vertical guidance. We've actually got our radio navigation 1099 with a 3-degree downslope and a course of 041. So everything is essentially lined up. We are descending. I'm waiting for the 9000 to throw the lights on for the local QNH. We'll tune those really quickly, and then I'll activate the approach phase, essentially in the performance phase. Once we're straightened out, we'll go over to approach, and then localizer will literally be right there. We're not far now, essentially just, 56 nautical miles, give or take. Yep. And rapidly approaching. Looks like we'll have clear weather. Everything's working out well. And hang tight, because we'll be on the ground very shortly. Thank you. Tahiti out there in the window, and we are making that right hand corner just at that Ovini hold pattern. So we've also slated ourselves for 3000 on altitude, and we are descending, everything being managed by the computer. And once we are at 3000 feet from this hold pattern on our final straight in, I'll go ahead and bring you guys back, but everything's a-okay at this point. Looks like the sun's gonna be going down soon too, so arriving right on time. Plenty of fuel left as well. See you in a brief moment again. Okay, so we just are lining up here on the ILS. We are in localizer, and essentially we only did one right hand hold pattern, and we descended obviously through that, and now we are again in the localizer on the straight in. It's time to start slowing this bird down. And coming in for final approach. Let's throw the auto brakes to 3. And let's get some slow down slats here, or slats, flaps, and speed brakes. Gears already down. Plane is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and turn all of the systems off and land this bird by ourselves. What is the fun without manual flying? We are coming in at 152. We're a little high, but our approach speed is a lot lower than expected, but that's okay. Just gonna drop down here a little bit. And the aircraft's not going to be happy about us descending this quickly, but that's okay. And it's just letting us know that we are falling out of the sky and that we have our speed brakes fully extended. So now we're back to whites over to reds. And there's a sailboat that just had to get in our way. And we'll float a little bit, that way we can bleed off some of this airspeed. And full reverse. Braking in effect. And we'll cut the auto braking off. And welcome to Tahiti. We will have to turn around and backtrack, but that's okay. Alright, indeed. So once we are turned around, I will go ahead and bring you right back, save you some time and effort. Okay, parking space 2. So I've gone ahead and turned off the landing lights and taxi lights. Let's go ahead and get this APU fired up. And we'll pretend that we are our own marshalers here. So let's go outside and we'll turn the camera here. And we'll try to line ourselves up on the yellow mark. There's an A340-300 and then an A350, so we'll cut the difference. We're an A340-600, so we'll just split the difference and call that good. Let's go ahead and turn the parking brake on. Gee, just look at that sunset, would you? Tahitian Islands in our Toliss A340-600. We'll go ahead and turn the APU on, cut off the seat belts and all of that nonsense. Let's go ahead and begin to shut the aircraft down, huh? So that'd just be as simple as flicking these engine control switches here, and our APU should be fired up, but in the event that it's not, we're on battery power now. That's okay. We can call out our tab here, and we can put the external power A on it. We'll chalks out, and we will turn on A. So we've got that. Once our APU starts, we'll go ahead and bring the bleed back on, and we'll keep the air conditioning running. So the other thing is we can, of course, open the doors and let everybody out, all 393 passengers. Open and on. Let's go see how that looks. And we've already got a truck coming to meet us. That's good news. As he drives through the gate there, that's okay. But he made it. What more can you ask for? We'll have to open the door for him. We can hear the APU firing on up there. There we go. Beautiful. So let's turn our lights off. Navs, beacons, strobes off. Of course, we need our radars off, and we need our lights turned down just a little bit. And now with our APU on, we can go ahead and add that bleed air. Let's go ahead and remove all of our fuel pumps. No need for the IRSs anymore. And essentially, we are in an idle state, right? Seatbelts and everything's good to go. Everybody's getting off. So, externally, can't think of a better place in a possibly cooler aircraft than the Toliss a340 with the accessories, the sound, the BSS sound, and the livery here. All of that, if you have this airplane and X-Plane 12, I'll throw in the description if you're interested in it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the flight out here to this DLC airport in Tahiti. And with that, we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.